everybody. Happy Sunday. We are going to talk all about medical care and insurance this week because it's our number one most asked question. It's not an exciting video, but it is informative. Stay tuned. We're Chris and Steve, an early retired couple who sold everything to travel the world full time. We share our Nomad life, hikes, and vegan eats. Grab our book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan on Amazon and follow us on social. Subscribe to catch our video every Sunday. Where are we?
We are in Borneo still, in the state of Sabah in Malaysia, and we thought it would be just a great opportunity to update you on some of the health insurance issues that we've had. It's a question that we get all the time, and let's just kick it off by maybe helping us understand the difference between travel insurance and medical insurance and travel medical insurance.
Right.
What are all those categories? What do they mean?
Right, so we did do an entire blog post about this and wrote everything out. I will put the link in the description. It's at our eatwalklearn.com blog website, and it goes through in detail all these things. So if you need to read this as well, and we even have a link to our particular coverage of our policy if you want to get into the fine details. So go and read that. But we're going to get right into the terminology. So it's very confusing on what, as Americans, we just kind of go, we need medical insurance. We don't really know what that means as we travel abroad. So there are 3 different types of medical insurance that might come your way as you are looking for how to cover yourself and be safe for the medical needs that you'll have when you're on the road. So the first is just your typical travel insurance. When do you use travel insurance?
Well, you use it if you missed a flight, lost your luggage. I don't know. I've never actually had to make a claim on this one, but that's typically what travel insurance is for.
Right. And you often see travel insurance offered to you when you buy a plane ticket. The airline might say for an extra $5, we'll insure your flight, or you are going on a cruise and they want to offer you special insurance. So that's just the type of insurance that if you lose a bag or your flight gets canceled, they're going to cover you. Usually, if you're within the limits of the policy, they're going to cover you for the expenses that you've lost or you have to incur to rebook your flights and your information. And by the way, we are not insurance agents. We are not professionals on this. We are not lawyers. This is just our experience. You take it for what you want. So then the next is what? Travel insurance with medical, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's really the same thing as travel insurance, except it combines a medical component. And this medical component is for that accidental insurance situation. You get hit by a bus. You fall off a cliff. Well, you can't do anything extreme usually in a medical insurance, but like you fall down a sidewalk and you break your leg. So this is not full medical coverage. This is medical coverage that's going to get you stabilized and repaired enough for you to get home. So this would be the situation where, like, you break your leg, you go to the local hospital, they put you in a cast, then they fly you home, and at home you use your home insurance to maybe get the surgery or get the pins placed or do the advanced stuff that you might need for your broken leg.
Right. Yes, and when we're talking about we're traveling and needing insurance, we mean what's the kind of insurance that'll cover me if I need to have, my spleen taken out or I need to
have a heart attack.
Right.
Right. So now we're talking about full medical insurance. This is the type of insurance that most Americans have at home. Maybe it's provided by their employer or by the government, or maybe they have Obamacare or Medicare, or they pay for private insurance. But this is the type of insurance where you go to the hospital, you go to the doctor, maybe you pay a copay or a percentage of, like, the doctor visit costs $500, your insurance pays a portion and you pay a portion, or you have some sort of 80-20 deductible of some kind on your insurance. Americans are pretty familiar with this type of insurance. That's what we try to replace when we travel abroad. Most people in America who have insurance that travel abroad, their policies generally do not cover them if they travel abroad. Now, you look at your policy, you figure your things out, and some employers will cover you when you travel abroad. But if you're like us, you don't have a job, you left the States, you're not covered, and you need to buy insurance on the private market, medical insurance to cover you as you travel abroad, that's what we're talking about. This is you need surgery, you do get hit by a bus, and you don't have medical insurance at home, and you need someone locally to take care of you. This is, Steve has a heart attack, I have a spleen attack, whatever. It's the medical insurance that is going to cost you some money if he goes to the doctor. So let's talk about the type of insurance we have. Who's our policy with?
We have our policy with IMG, IMG Global?
Right. And so our policy, so in order to get our policy, we first had to have a physical, and they determined what our pre-existing conditions were, and then they isolated those from our policy. I had a previous surgery that they removed that, they kept that pre-existing condition out of my policy, so I'm not covered for a particular body part. And you had something too, right?
Yeah, no, actually mine came back, clear that there were no pre-existing conditions.
That's right.
So I was actually able to qualify for a little higher level of insurance, the gold plan, versus I think you got the silver plan.
I was in silver and you were in bronze, I think. Anyway, there's different
like
levels.
that. Yeah.
But the bottom line is we decided to go with a $5,000 deductible with our insurance because we figured anything under $5,000 we could probably cover out of pocket for ourselves. And anything above that would be a catastrophic event, we think. Right. So, and that we'd want to have insurance for. So we have a $5,000 deductible, and we pay, drum roll, $200 total combined monthly for our policy. So it's about $2,400 a year for the two of us to be covered by IMG Global. Now, it doesn't cover everything. Like, for example, we went and got wellness checks. Did it cover us for wellness checks?
It didn't cover us for the wellness checks. And so let's talk about the geographic limitations.
Right. So our policy covers for everywhere in the world except the U.S., Singapore, Taiwan, and I think Canada. Anyway, the IMG has different geographic choices that you can make. You can go to IMG and get the U.S. covered, but they limit the amount of time you can be in the U.S. I think it's 6 weeks or 2 weeks or something. Right. Again, read the policies and the fine details.
And the obvious reason why the U.S. is excluded from the policy is because the premiums would just jump through the roof. Right. You know how much premiums cost for health insurance in the United States. So our $2,400 would not be.
It'd be 1 month.
Right. And so So there are some geographic limitations. So, for example, we went to Singapore for 5 days. Well, what did we do? Did we just not get insurance?
No, I mean, our policy didn't cover us. We didn't want to be in Singapore in case something happened. So we just went online and we got a travel insurance policy with medical. So in that situation, if we would have gone to Singapore and I would have gotten hit by a bus, they would have stabilized me in Singapore under my travel insurance, and then I would have gone to Malaysia, where I am covered with IMG, and continued my coverage in Malaysia, for example. Now, for those of you who have credit cards that have a travel policy, so for example, we have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Preferred, which cost us $95 a year. I'm going to put a link below if you want to get this credit card. Remember, there's all kinds of rules about credit cards and so on and so forth. Again, we're not experts, but if you want to use our link, we get a little 2 cents or something for using our link. Anyway, those policies, so Chase's policy is a travel insurance plus medical, and which is the situation that we had when we went to Singapore. Now, the reason why we went ahead and bought a policy was we weren't quite sure Singapore was included in Chase's Geography as well. It was worth $25 for us to go ahead and get a policy then. But what's nice about the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Preferred, is that in the situation where we maybe get a computer stolen while we're traveling, or we're in the airport and someone snags our backpack, or I can't imagine our luggage getting lost because we hardly ever, like 99.2% of the time, we never check our bags. But it is nice just to have that in our back pocket in case we need to file a claim for an accidental loss of some sort of item. So, anyway, the reason why we wanted to update this particular video is we have had to file some claims with IMG, and we wanted to talk about that a little bit. So some of the claims we have filed. I had an MRI. They did not cover it because they just saw that as diagnostic or as an outpatient thing and not part of his surgery, so they didn't cover that. We had some wellness done. We had our annual exams done in Malaysia. They did not cover that. No. But what they have covered is I had orthoscopic surgery on my knee and stem cell replacement, and so far they have covered about 70% of that, which that was a nice little Benny. I didn't think they were going to cover it at all, and I ended up with cash right back in my pocket. So filing the claim was very simple. We went online, We filled out the claim form. We attached our receipts and our proof of payment. They took about 3 to 4 weeks evaluating it all. And then once they approved it and we got our explanation of benefits, boom, cash was deposited right into my account at a very reasonable exchange rate. Because, of course, I had paid in non-US dollars, and so they had to convert that, and they converted it at a very nice rate to come back into my pocket. So right into my checking account, didn't even have to get a check and try to figure out how to deposit it. So that was really fantastic.
Yeah.
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 So if you have any questions, again, read our article because it goes into details. There's also a link to our policy, or the backgrounds of our policy, not the rules to our policy, not our actual policy. And you can take a look to see what's good for you. Other providers in this space, all the big Cigna and Blue Cross Blue Shield have similar plans to IMG. You'll see also a lot of websites that are named like Nomad Insurance, Insurance for Nomads, Nomadic Travel, Safety Travel, things like that, that when you go to their website, it may just only be travel insurance with medical. So just make sure you're reading things and ask questions. Right. We did find that when we finally booked with IMG, that it didn't matter whether we filled out the policy or filled out all the rules online or we talked to an agent. It was the same price either way. There wasn't a premium for working through an agent. So we took advantage of that and actually called our agent and asked lots and lots of questions, explained lots of scenarios, and made sure that we understood what type of insurance we were getting and what it would cover.
Yeah, yeah. And a good example of that is if you talk to an agent and say, I want a global policy. I want a policy that covers me everywhere in the world. And then you see what the premium is. And you say, well, wait a second. How did Chris and Steve get their global policy for such a great price? So, ask the questions. What countries are excluded? What countries are included in this?
How much is the deductible? What's the premium?
Right,
all of those things.
Right.
All the questions you would ask normally in the November insurance period time that everybody goes through every year in the States. All the questions you ask there, ask them again here to your agent. So, all right. If you have questions, don't ask us, ask your agent. But if you have questions about our situation or how we've solved some problems, definitely let us know. And you're going to say,
please subscribe.
Subscribe. And next week, we're going to show you all that orangutan footage and so on. So thanks for hanging with us. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.